is a bad time for that. Or, this couldn't have come at a worse time. Mr. Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen, it's a bad time to have a flat tire on your way to an important appointment. It's a bad time to get sick the day you're supposed to leave on your dream vacation. It's a bad time for somebody to knock on the door when you're in the middle of making a souffle, or just about to set a new record in that video game. But it's never a bad time for an act of kindness. In fact, sometimes the worst time is the best time of all for such an act. My son and I had a bad time when he was 11 years old. For me, it started with a phone call. Mrs. Gaylord, this is the secretary at Hollow Hills. Can you come to the school? Danny has hurt his leg. When I arrived at the school, I followed directions and went to the playing field. There I found a white-faced Danny lying on the grass with one leg in a cardboard splint. The school nurse and the principal were standing beside him. They explained that there had been a pileup during a rugby game at recess, and another boy had fallen across Danny's leg. The nurse said she thought it might be broken and recommended I take him to the emergency room. We called an ambulance to take us. As I followed the paramedic who was pushing Danny's gurney through the emergency entrance, I saw that the waiting room was full. When I went over to the desk to sign in, the woman there told me that there was a doctor's strike going on at the time, and many doctors were refusing to treat anything that wasn't life-threatening, and there was no doctor on duty in the emergency room. She recommended that I call our family doctor and see if he would come treat Danny. Otherwise, she said, I'd have to take him to the county hospital in Ventura. I called and explained the situation. The receptionist said she was sure our doctor would be happy to come treat Danny, but that he was in a meeting in Los Angeles and wasn't expected back for at least an hour. I asked her to give him a message when he got back, and went over to stand beside Danny's gurney to wait and wait and wait. We were having a bad time. In fact, I think for both of us, up to that point, it was the worst day of our lives. After waiting what seemed like forever, the door to the interior of the hospital opened, and a gray-haired African-American man stepped through. He looked around the room, then walked directly toward us. When he reached Danny's side, he stopped, took a St. Christopher's medal from around his own neck and put it around Danny's neck, saying, God will heal it. He gave me a shy smile in response to my startled thank you, then turned and walked out of the hospital. We had never seen him before, and we never saw him again, but neither of us has ever forgotten him. Danny didn't understand the significance of the medal, but I explained that many people feel that wearing one of those medals protects you from harm. And what the man had done was to give his own protection to Danny. He was so impressed by this that he continued to wear the medal until finally it wore through and wouldn't stay on the chain anymore. Then he put it away carefully. Last weekend, we celebrated Dan's 50th birthday. He still has that medal, and he still knows exactly where it is. We never know when something we do or say is going to have a very profound and lasting effect on someone. So it's a good idea to try to make those effects positive ones. It doesn't have to be anything as dramatic or generous as giving a precious relic to a hurting, frightened child. It can be something simple, like letting someone go ahead of you in line at the supermarket, or complimenting a server or a checkout clerk on the gracious way they dealt with a customer who was giving them a bad time, or even an apology. I did say simple, not easy. Several years ago, I had a piece of office equipment that needed repair. The only place I could find that could do it was over in Reseda, so I drove over, left it, and was given a date to pick it up. When I went back on the appointed date, the woman behind the counter didn't know anything about it, so she went in the back room to check. When she came out and told me they hadn't had a chance to look at it yet, I lost it. I don't remember what I said, but by the time I was finished, not only did she know I was upset, I'm sure that everybody in the back room knew as well. I got another date to come back, and this time I called to make sure it was ready before I went. When I walked in the shop, same woman asked if she could help me. I walked over to the counter and said, "First, I need to apologize. I was rude to you the last time I was here. I was very upset, and with good reason, but it wasn't your fault, and I shouldn't have taken it out on you. I'm sorry." To my surprise, she put her hand over mine where it lay on the counter, and with tears in her eyes said, "You'll never know how much that means to me." We never know what sort of an effect our words or deeds will have on someone. So let's look out for those opportunities to do someone a kindness, to make someone's day better. Remember, it's never a bad time for an act of kindness. In fact, sometimes the worst